And welcome to another rotation video. So today we're taking a look at a different kind of Haven deck. This is not one I know really how to classify, as it doesn't really have a classification. You know, Lion Haven is really obvious, Healing Havens are really obvious, straight up Storm Havens are really obvious. This one though, a little bit different, honestly. This was a altar plane kind of deck, which was interesting. Saintly Cure, which was another interesting one. Really just a deck I wanted to try because it did have so many interesting features in it. I'm sure I'll come up with something for the title of this video that will categorize this deck. It may just have to be a tempo based deck because that's really what it does. It does tempo out very nicely, so that's probably all I'll name it. But overall, this deck's a lot of fun. It was definitely interesting. It's reasonably, when I say reasonably, I mean reasonably cheap. We're still running a lot of legendaries, although Altar Plane could easily be cut. You could easily drop something like Omen of Repose to 1 and run this as like a 7 legendary deck and just make a couple of adjustments to adding cards in to really fill it out. But overall, a lot of fun. We're going to get right into it and take a look. So the first thing I'm up against is Dragon. Big scary Dragon. We are going second, which this deck actually does reasonably well with. I mean, Haven is probably one of the better decks to go second with a lot of the time, just because of how it can recover. Starting out with this hand, though, is actually fairly decent. Double Black Inscription and Saint Hairs is a really good way to maintain the board and keep up pumping more hairs into the deck, which I still think is one of the best ways to start off a game against decks like Dragon, Sword, and Blood. Typically, those three are the ones that you really want to play hair on 1 instead of on 4. So, Black Inscripture, immediately remove, and go face for 1 damage. But we've now generated an extra hair, so there should be 4 of those in the deck now. That's why I really like using that card. And we got another hair. This could be even more interesting if I had to went for that, but since we are going to be turn 4 next turn, we may as well hold on to it, take advantage of its evo effect, and flood the board with it. Really would be much more beneficial. And I'm a little disappointed since they didn't really go for much else. And I'm probably just going to be forcing this hair out normally, since I can go for the evo on the one that we've got there and really just go face with it. And it's protected again, which makes it even harder to deal with. So we really went for a lot of early game pressure in this match, and that worked out very well for us. Warring Thunder, very nice play. Pretty good considering they're going to go up to 4 play points again. And they can at least clear 2 things here in total. It's not the best because, I mean, they are leaving up a lot of damage. I mean, they're going to take at least another 10 this turn. Or maybe a bit less because I'm not going to go for that evo. I'm actually going to take this one with the Holy Priest, since that will allow me to remove the most cards most effectively. And then I did decide, of course, to favour taking less damage again. We do have the Holy Lord, so we don't really need much, but they ended up admitting defeat anyway, so they did ramp a lot, but they really didn't play much else. No real surprise. For the next one, we have Haven versus Haven. And this time we're going first. So playing that Royal Queen flip. This hand is pretty average. So dropping the 2 drops feels alright. I like keeping the 1 drop most of the time. I really like having something decent to play on turn 1 or turn 2. Sealed Tomb. Usually it's really good to play it as a Sacred Teaching or Forbidden's Teaching. I also like to use it as early draw. And this opponent is playing how I play, going for that early hair. Doesn't shock me at all. I'm going for the Disciple of Repose. It does get us at least 1 ping, which is good, so you're always going to get some value out of that card. And now I'm going for Temple, so definitely looks like a straight up Lion Haven deck. Very predictable and easy to deal with most of the time. We can go for the Saintly Core, because next turn, if we really want, we can go for a double Saintly Core and the Ether of Wind if we need it. Doesn't look like we are going to need it though. So really we should just probably go for a couple of followers. We guaranteed the Altar Plane draw with the 1-2, by the way. That's the main reason you really want to run it. If you aren't running Altar Plane though, I would definitely cut the 1-2 as well and put in something else. I mean, at that point though, you're probably just better off playing straight up Lion. since they run almost the same cards for the most part. So Repose is going to do very nicely. It's going to take us to 6 play points, which means our Altar Plane is actually usable next turn. Plus, Omen of Repose does a very good job of protecting itself, especially since we got the optimal banish. So now my only hope is, of course, that it doesn't get killed by the Mori. Mori's the only risk. That's why I did play the extra 1 drop there, since I wanted to make it a 1 in 3 chance instead of a 50-50. Double Peace Weaver, not a problem either. Usually most people would probably think it is, but in this situation it's fine for me. Altar Plane, and we did get the Black Inscripture. Usually your odds are fairly decent. Getting Black Inscripture is one of the better cards to pull when you're going up against a Haven enemy. So that did give us the chance to go for 6 damage to face plus the 1 for 7, so we're looking at a very healthy amount of damage. Prism Swing was a nice one, but not enough to clear this. And forcing these crystals out really isn't going to be enough. Not on its own. So that's basically going to be lethal. It doesn't matter which one of these they hit. We're going to be very close to winning the game no matter what. The Holy Lord is actually just going to pretty much straight up end this for us. I mean, it's not quite. We are only going to have 11 damage, so we are just short. But being on 1 health, not going to be easy for a Lion Haven deck to deal with. I mean, they had their own Holy Lord, that's good, but they did miss out on one of those knights. And now they need to deal with the rest of this. So we only need 1 damage, and we have 2 draws next turn. So what are we going to get here? Oh, another Altar Plane. I mean, gives us a chance to draw something that might be useful. Another Black Inscripture is perfect. And we can actually try and set ourselves up next turn. So Sister Falconeer plus Holy Dogma is actually lethal. They did end up conceding because they probably can't deal with the Altar Plane, I would guess, but that's weird, so don't know. But we would have been able to win in the next turn. So overall this deck was very solid. It can have its iffy matches against Blood, which is a little bit of a problem, and Sword, but overall, had a lot of fun with it, did an alright job, was definitely interesting to play since it was such a different variation on Haven than what I played most of the time, so that's a lot of fun. If you guys did enjoy this video, hit the like button and subscribe. You'll find this deck list in the description below. Till next time guys, see ya.